The clatter of plates sounded louder than hunger that morning, as if the small diner in rural Ohio was holding its breath while a family pretended everything was fine. The man set the food down gently, hands steady in a way his life had not been for months, and something in that careful motion asked a quiet question of anyone watching. What if this were you, sitting at a table with more worry than money, measuring love in bites and minutes, wondering which promises could wait until tomorrow and which ones could not? They lived on the edge of a town that most people passed through without noticing, the kind of place in the United States where factories once hummed and now stood silent, their parking lots growing weeds instead of paychecks. His name was Aaron, a carpenter by trade when there had been work, a husband by faith even when faith felt thin. His wife, Rebecca, had learned how to smile through exhaustion, her brown hair tied back not for style but for survival, her thoughts always racing ahead to the next bill, the next sacrifice. Their daughter, Hannah, was 5 and believed in mornings, believed that breakfast meant pancakes and orange juice and the warmth of hands that would always be there. The job loss had not been dramatic. There was no shouting or slammed doors, just a supervisor with tired eyes and a form slid across a desk. Weeks later, savings dissolved quietly, like sugar in coffee, leaving behind the bitterness of reality. Rebecca had started skipping meals without saying so, telling herself that children remembered love more than hunger, that tomorrow would be easier if today was endured. She would say they would eat tomorrow, meaning it as a shield, a way to hold the family together with words when resources ran out. If you were in her place, would you do the same, telling yourself that strength meant silence, that love meant going without? Aaron noticed everything. He noticed the way Rebecca's hands trembled when she folded laundry, how she pushed food around her plate without eating, how Hannah's questions grew softer as if she sensed the weight pressing on her parents. He felt the familiar ache of failure that many men feel when the world measures worth in pay stubs and productivity. Nights stretched long, filled with prayers he had learned as a boy in a small church where hymns echoed hope and the pastor spoke of loaves and fishes. He wondered if faith was supposed to feel this heavy before it felt real. One morning, the decision formed not as courage but as necessity. Aaron took the last few dollars from a jar on the counter, coins that clinked with finality. He drove to the diner just off the highway, the one with vinyl booths and a waitress who called everyone honey. He ordered pancakes, eggs, and juice, knowing full well that this meant the gas tank would run close to empty and tomorrow would require another miracle. When the plates arrived, he placed them in front of Rebecca and Hannah, his eyes softening as he leaned in and urged them to eat today, not with force but with a tenderness that carried every unspoken fear and promise. Rebecca's heart cracked open in that moment. She wanted to argue, to insist on waiting, but the smell of food and the look on Aaron's face broke through her resolve. Hannah dug in with the innocent enthusiasm of a child who believed her parents could fix anything. Watching them, Rebecca felt the strange mixture of guilt and gratitude that comes when love refuses to be practical. She thought of all the times she had told herself tomorrow would be better, and wondered what tomorrow owed them if today was already so fragile. Life did not turn around in a single scene. That afternoon, the mailbox held only advertisements. The phone stayed silent. But something shifted inside the family, a small realignment toward presence rather than postponement. Aaron picked up side work repairing fences, paid in cash and gratitude. Rebecca found a part-time job at a church thrift store, where kindness was currency and prayer requests were as common as donated coats. Hannah started school, bringing home drawings of houses with smoke curling from chimneys, a symbol of warmth she assumed was permanent. Hardship remained a companion, sitting quietly in the corners of their days. There were nights when Rebecca cried in the bathroom so Hannah would not hear, mornings when Aaron's back ached from labor that barely paid. Yet there were also moments of grace that felt almost cinematic, like a neighbor leaving groceries on the porch, or a stranger tipping too much and saying God bless as if it were a promise rather than a farewell. The family learned to measure time differently, not by pay periods but by shared meals, by the way laughter could still rise even when money could not. Years later, when stability returned in modest form, the memory of that breakfast lingered like a scar that reminded them of survival. Hannah grew old enough to understand sacrifice, old enough to ask why her mother sometimes stared at plates of food with such intensity. Rebecca told her the truth gently, about seasons when tomorrow felt safer than today, and about the day her father chose otherwise. Aaron listened from the doorway, his eyes misting, knowing that his quiet act had become a story larger than himself. If you think back on your own life, there are probably moments you rushed past, days you postponed happiness because it seemed impractical or undeserved. This family learned that love does not always wait for better circumstances, that sometimes it insists on nourishment now, even if tomorrow remains uncertain. Their faith did not erase struggle, but it reframed it, teaching them that daily bread was not just about food but about presence, courage, and choosing one another when it mattered most. The diner has since closed, replaced by a convenience store with bright lights and little warmth. But in the memory of one family, it remains a sacred place where a simple meal became an act of defiance against despair. Rebecca still believes in planning, still keeps a careful eye on the future, yet she no longer uses tomorrow as a hiding place. Aaron still works with his hands, still prays in the quiet, and Hannah, now grown, carries forward the lesson that love is not postponed. If this story stirred something in you, share in the comments what moment in your life taught you the value of choosing today over waiting for tomorrow, and if this journey truly touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so more stories of quiet courage can find their way to those who need them.